Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures and their true meaning. So tune in to Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man every Sunday at 12 noon, right here on TV 33, FM 88.1 WHCR, and Comcast Cable. You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 313. That's 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live. Scriptural Discussion.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just. I greet all of you once again with the greeting words of peace from the Lord of the worlds. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. I want to reiterate to many of you and remind others of you that if you're going to go after justice, in order to receive justice, you have to go about it in a just way. If you go after what you say is justice, and you do an unjust thing to go and achieve that, that's not justice. That's what generally people do when they take revenge. You know, many people think vengeance and revenge means the same thing, but it does not. You know, when you take revenge on people, you do an evil generally in return for an evil that was done to you. And as the scripture says, resist not evil. You know, and that's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. You can only repel evil with what is better than that. If you say you are trying to repel an evil that was done, then you don't say, well, I'm going to do more than he did. I'm going to, someone, for instance, kill one of your cows, I'm going to go and kill 5 of yours. You're not repelling evil. You're expanding evil. You're helping it to grow. Huh? So I'm not one who hear, you know, when I didn't hear what my daddy said, I used my own judgment. When I didn't know, you know, if he wasn't around or didn't have anything to say on a particular thing, then I used my own judgment. But he taught me when he done told me what he wants done on a particular thing. When I understood him, then he held me accountable if he saw me do something that he know he had taught me on. Do you understand? And I feared him. And, you know, so likewise, when I didn't understand what was meant by resist not evil, then I put my own spin on it. But now I understand. And I see the logic in it. You know, if you want an evil action to stop, you have to know how to put a stop to it, not just in that person who did it, but how to put a stop to that action coming from anyone. Because if you're not careful, you'll help it grow. And so we don't want to help it grow. That's why we spend so much time. You notice I can talk to you for 3 hours, and most of the time it's almost like it's 3 minutes, because I spend so much time explaining what I mean by what I say and why I said it and put it in that way. That way, it leaves no room for anyone's actual disagreement. And that's why you don't find people coming in here. If they listen to what I say, they really don't have no disagreement with me. Because I'm not telling you anything but right. And I know I'm telling you right. I didn't say I believe I'm telling you right. I said I know I'm telling you right. So, you know, and as I was speaking to the attorney the other evening, the alumni of my that actually, you know, I have great respect for Miss Allred. She has did a lot of things that helped many people that were being mistreated. But as with any attorney, you know, I was, you know, I listened to them. Who better to get advice about attorneys from than other attorneys? I mean, I see the value in the way that the system of jurisprudence in America is set up. I see the logic, and I see God's hand. You know, Allah's hand was in helping them set up their system. It's like you notice when they were made, and I'm talking about white people, when they were made and what they are, and I'm not talking about the grafting of their flesh, because their flesh is just a weaker part of our flesh, and there is no good or bad in that, other than that some things they are more susceptible to broken bones and all of that kind of thing, because they are a weaker part of us. But when I say made, I'm talking about in the sense of the knowledge that uh, that fills their brain, the knowledge that directs their actions and their deeds. Their maker said this. He said, let's make man in our image after our life. You, you notice, no civilization has, that I know of, has used books and writings as extensively as this European, or as you call him, but as the made Asian, as the Caucasian. You notice, you go throughout his civilization here, and there are just books upon books upon books upon books upon books. And he was taught how to do that. He was given a mind that was different. And by the way, you Caucasian people that's listening to me, if you hear me say something that that does not quite ring true to you, if you hear me say something that you need to take me to task on, questions in the way of questioning or arguing, I want you to feel free to do so. I'm not just standing up here saying things just to try to make myself look big. I'm saying things that have been revealed to me to say. And so I can be questioned on these things. You know, I will take your silence as agreement that you believe I'm telling you the truth. If you think that I'm not, then I welcome you to question me on what I say to make sure that I'm not trying to put something over. But you notice it's almost impossible to truly educate a person. For instance, to make a doctor, to make a lawyer, to make an architect or a ship builder or carpenter. It's almost impossible to make them. I mean, people have been building ships for how long? Oh man, long time, right? People have been building houses for a long time. People have been building wagons and making wheels for a long time. But now look at what this Caucasian, especially this Western Caucasian, this one that was whose destiny was written to become a new nation over here in this part of the earth that had never seen a prophet. This part of the earth that was considered the worst part of the earth. Here in the Western Hemisphere of North America. It is the place where the seat of Satan was prophesied to be. As when I used to look at the devil as being Allah's enemy, and until I open up the Holy Quran, and it's said something that made me have to take another look at the Holy Bible. And as the Holy Bible said, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself. And you would have thought that God would have told him, get out of here. But he didn't. He asked Satan, the Lord said to Satan, notice, that's the one he started talking to. He didn't say a whole lot to his sons that was doing his will. He asked the one that everybody thought wasn't doing his will. He started talking to him. He said, when's coming stop? And Satan said, he didn't say none of your business. He said from going to and fro in the earth and from walking up and down in it. The same way that he's been doing since he was loosed out of his prison over there in Europe. Reason it's called a prison, it was because what had him locked up over there was his misunderstanding that he would fall off the earth if he sailed out too far. So once he was loosed by half original man Christopher Columbus, then he was free to go and fulfill his destiny. And now he goes to and fro and up and down in the earth, and he has been, there was a time when one CIA agent could be dropped off in a foreign country with nothing but a chocolate bar and overthrow the government. He was just that wise to do his work. But, I mean, they talk about make America great again. That statement is what it sounds like. Like the statement of an ex-pimp that can't do done lost his ability to trick people to trick women to go do what they was so easily tricked into doing. And so he reminiscing and wants to be that again. That was never greatness. And as far as a man running for president, talking about he wants to make America great again, while he has become very wealthy. How many men in America, Caucasians, have you thought about what you are saying? America has already been great and has been definitely great for you. And for you to say, make her great again, is to say you don't think too much of the country that made you great already. Now you look at America as not being what? But anyway, no one ever looks into what people say. that's a that's a person appealing to the lower angels of your character, because you think that your skin color made you great. You think that your and if people from all over the earth are coming to America, and now you've opened up yourself to the world, and the world trying to get in. The world already consider you to be great. So who is this saying to you, make America great again? What are you talking about? But anyway, I didn't want to really get into that right now. I want to talk about this grid. That's the way a map grid is. It's longitudinal and I should say longitudinal and latitudinal lines, to and fro and up and down. No one's ever really mapped the globe like this Western European, this Western man, who had he knew, you see, whenever it comes time for divine intervention, for something that Almighty God, Allah, has planned, whenever it comes time for that to happen, he opens up the mind of the people that he intends to bring that about, to understand what they need to understand, which no one else understands, in order to bring about what God said was going to happen. He opens up the knowledge to them that no others have. It's just like it's time for Black people in America now to truly come out of bondage, to truly come out of enslavement. And that's why the first one that Allah opened up the mind of, in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, was Elijah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And here this man went to the 3rd grade. And so, no, America knew they couldn't take credit for what that man was espousing. And if God didn't give it to him, what enabled him to begin to undo the damage with just his word that had been done to us? We was walking around here, Black people, and ashamed not just to be Black, we was ashamed to be even reminded that we are Black. We would have rather someone call us a Negro or colored. Yeah. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, with the knowledge that Allah opened up to him and kept closed to everybody else, was able to now have you and I walking around here, and some of you that's 40 years old and younger, you can't even remember a time when you wasn't Black and proud. You'll be talking about, I was black and proud all my life. Hey, you don't know who you had to thank for that. You know why we was called black Muslims? That's the white man called us black Muslims. And the reason he said black Muslims is because he knew that the term black, he had fixed it in our people's mind that we didn't want to be black. And so anything that you put black in front of automatically made us shy away from. And so, and yet when you met a Muslim, most of the time we would say, how you doing, black brother? And the brother would, they made a song out of him. He called me your brother. But anyway, he said, I ain't your black brother. And, you know, they get mad. But where they used to would want to jump on you, the messenger reached the ones who was the main hell raisers in the black community, and he converted them. So not only was that brother who was calling you black brother, hey, black brother, hey, black man, you remember one time when he wouldn't have just said, hey, black man, he'd say, hey, nigga, give me your money. But now he was just saying, hey, black man, Muhammad speaks. And you could get away with saying something to him, but you knew you better not try to jump on him because he still knew how to do what he used to do. But anyway, when it came time for us to be freed, the first thing had to be done was fix it where we could respect who we are. And we had to be taught the knowledge of who we are. Instead of every generation or so, we got a new name we going by. It's like they're trying to put the name African American on us now. I'm not an African American. I'm a black man. I'm an Asiatic black man. You know, I was black before that continent that you call Africa was ever named that. So if I existed on this earth before that continent was called Africa, then my name don't change just because you done changed the name of the continent that I was living on. We call the whole earth Asia. And even in the scripture, when it says the 7 churches that are in Asia, it's talking about the 7 continents that's on the earth. And I'm wherever I'm at on the earth, I'm at home. I'm an Asiatic black man. And, you know, that is what we are. And that's what you are referred to yourself as. But you know, I'm not going to be no stickler on that kind of thing. But, you know, stop being ashamed to recognize that you and I are black men and black women. Don't let people put us back into that foolishness. If you're black, then that lets you know you're the father and mother of all human beings. And if anybody tries to suggest that that's not the truth, then ask them, who made me? Where did I come from? I can look at the earth and look at me, and I can tell where I came from. Now you look at the earth and yourself and tell me where you came from. You didn't come out of the earth. You came out of a man who came out of the earth. You are Semitic people. I'm not a Semitic man. I'm the original man, and everyone else came from my semen. Now, ask the white man. You don't have to ask me. He ain't gonna say nothing. I'll tell you that I'm telling you the truth. I'm sitting up here and letting my coffee get cold. I don't like iced coffee. I see him selling iced coffee in the store. Are you selling iced coffee? And I see people buying it though. But let's get back to this. So the Lord said to Satan, whence comest thou? And Satan said, from going to and fro in the earth and from walking up and down in it. Then the Lord asked him a question. He didn't say, I don't mean for you to do that. He said, hast thou considered my servant Job? That he is a perfect and an upright man that fears God and escheweth or forbiddeth evil. And Satan said, yeah, does Job fear God for naught? He said, you have blessed the work of his hands. You've put hedges around his house and his family and everything. He said, I guess so. He said, take it from him and he'll curse you to your face. You see, people generally, it's just like when my daddy told me, when he give me a whipping for something that the neighbor had told him. Because I remember one time when I got in a fight, and them two girls, they my neighbors, you know, we was friends, but we got into it, and they threw they gonna tell you what they did. They brought a balloon out there and told me to blow it up. That really wasn't no balloon. And when I found out, I got mad. But anyway, and I got into it with them. One of them threw a rock and hit me in the nose and started bleeding. And so the parents got involved. And my daddy asked me, say, boy, you fighting girls? And, you know, he didn't go far in school either. He went to the 3rd grade also. And, but anyway, he said, I'm going to beat your rump. He told the neighbor, he said, I'm going to beat this boy and you go in there and beat them girls. And Mr. Oliver said, yeah, that's right, Mr. Taylor. And, and so he went in there and beat me. And of course, that man then whipped them girls. And they came outside laughing. And I remember my daddy, he used to say, when somebody tell him something, he said, grown folks ain't gonna lie on you. And I thought about some of the stuff that I'd seen them do and stand up and laugh about it. I said, boy, you just don't know. But he was talking about himself. And most people, they judge other people by the way they are. You know, and so that's kind of dangerous. You cannot judge other people by the way you are. You have to judge other people based on the facts that you learn about them, not by the facts you know about yourself. Do you understand? But anyway, so when Satan told the Lord that Job would cuss him to his face if he took everything from him, Satan was judging Job by the way he was. You know this. You hear people all the time. You see that. You know how you see on movies, the white man, he show you that you saw what you call it, right? Independence Day. And you remember when they was getting ready to go and fight, they go in right before the man came up with the plan to give their computer him and his daddy was talking. And his daddy told him, I haven't spoken to God ever since he took your mother. And so what was that? He cursed God after God took something from him. You understand? And so that's just to show you little hints to who he is. And, that's why you don't find no intelligent white person coming in here trying to accuse me or nothing when I teach you that they the devil, because they know that's the truth. They don't let you get away with it because they know you don't know. You telling them something you believe. So you need to just sit down and be quiet. Because a belief, if someone question you on it, you can't answer no questions on a belief. All you can do is say, well, that's what I believe. Well, that don't mean it's true. I'm not telling you what I believe. I'm telling you what I know. You think I'd stand up and put my life on this if I was talking about something I believe? But anyway, you just that foolish. And that's the way children are. A child's mind is full of foolishness. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. A fool is quick to speak without knowledge of what he's talking about. And that's why when you get on them about what they say, they think you've wronged them because they think that talk is cheap, and talk is not cheap. You're going to find out. You're going to have to pay for these things that you say. If you ask a lawyer, is talk cheap? If this court system was really good, if it was really just, all them women that's been coming out here talking about Bill Cosby raped them and ain't got nothing but their mouth, that man could have sued them and he'd have won every case. I mean, let me explain to you why I said that. If there had been any proof that that man had did what they said he did, he would have been arrested a long time ago by the first white woman that complained about that. Because if that's what he had been doing, they would have did a sting operation on him like they did on the mayor of D.C. You remember they had him sitting there buying crack, or smoking crack? And they sitting there recording what he's saying and doing, right? And the mere fact that there's no evidence other than people saying that man did these things. And Hannibal Buress, he could have been sued. And he could have been and should have been. But where's a man going to get justice when you got wealthy people behind the closed doors pulling strings? Them people would never. Why did Janice Dickinson not put that in her book? Because she was afraid of a lawsuit. The people who published it didn't want their name on it because they was afraid of a lawsuit. What made them stop being afraid? The same thing that made a Supreme Court justice let it fly out of his mouth that spending your money in the elections of America's system to buy elections is freedom of speech. I mean, he didn't say it in quite them words, but he's saying that he upheld that there shouldn't be no limit on how much money people can donate to people's campaigns. You better wake up. But anyway, I'm in the mere fact that I'm standing up here making these observations, and you haven't heard any scholar from the other side refute anything that I'm saying. That should tell you that something done happened here. Now, if Allah ain't with me, who is? Now, so you notice the Lord told Satan, you take it from him. He said, all that he have is in your power. So that's telling Satan, go take it from him, right? He said, but don't you take his life. Right? Okay. Then Satan went over there. So whose will was Satan doing? I didn't hear you. He got permission to go do that, didn't he? When he said, I'm going to make evil fast seeming to the people, he said, the Lord told him, Allah told him, that's a right way with me. And whoever of them fall for what you're doing, I'm certainly going to feel hell with all of them. That's what he said. Huh? I mean, look, man, they don't give you a driver's license without testing you first. But let's be truthful. You can't go to from this. When did you first get your final exams in school? Was it in junior high? Wasn't that in junior high school? Did they call them finals? Final exam? And your final exam counted for a third of your grade point average? You know, and but they didn't make you go to the next grade if they didn't give you a test. Huh? Well, if you got sense enough to test and find out who paid attention to what you had to say, what made you think God didn't have sense enough to test to see who paid attention to what he had to say? Do men think they was going to be left alone on just saying we believe? I believe in Jesus. I believe in Moses. I believe in Muhammad. I believe in Elijah. Did you think you was just going to be left alone on saying we believed? And was not going to be tried? While all others were tried before you? Oh, yeah. Is it getting real to you yet? Let's see here. Now, look what Satan, the Lord, let's make man in our image. You know what books are? Books are filled with images of someone's thoughts. You know you're not looking at words when you open up a book, right? Those are not words that you're looking at. Those are images, signs and symbols that represent words. Do you understand? They are images, right? It's just like when you look at you take a picture with your camera. You are aware that that's just an image you got there, right? That's not a person. That's the image of a person, right? And this is not words. These are images of words. Do you understand? Let us make man in our image. You'll notice when you want to make a doctor, then you take the mind, the knowledge that's in the mind of a doctor, and you put it in books. That way, the student that you're trying to make has an image of your mind, and he begins to study that with your help. And as he studies that image, it imprints on him. And pretty soon you have another doctor. Do you understand? That image is made into flesh. As he studies it more and more and more, his mind begins to consume it, and he's becoming what he's consuming. Do you understand? Okay. So, Yaqub, the maker of the white race, he told them that when you become unlike, when you are bleached out and no longer look like the original man, then you go back. And he gave them the knowledge that belonged in that people. And that is the man that he was trying to make. And in the Bible, it simply says, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Meaning, let them have dominion. It's like you could say he sold to them the right to rule for a while. Just like when you lease out your house. A lease is different from a rental. A rental goes for it's a lease of sort, but it only lasts a very short while. While a lease, that for all practical purposes, whatever property you are leasing, that's yours until the time is up. That's why the devil, when prophets came, like when he ran into Jesus over in the land of the Gergesenes, and the man that was possessed of the devils of the corrupt mind, they recognized that Jesus he was a part of the Son of Man. And the devil said, Jesus, thou Son of God, art thou come hither for to torment us before the time? Before what time? If the owner of some property that was leased out show up on the property and start doing things on the property without the lessee didn't ask for, he'll come out there and tell the owner, hey, what you doing here? And he said, well, I've decided that I'm going to tear this house down. No, you ain't going to tear this down right now. My lease ain't up. And if you try to do that, I'm going to take you to court. Huh? And so even though it's the owner's property, it ain't his property until that it's not his free and clear until that lease is satisfied. Do you understand? Now you understand why the Lord himself couldn't show up until the end. But anyway, as the devil, he was given 6 days. He said, 6 days shall you labor and do all of your work. But the Sabbath day shall be a holy day unto the Lord. I had a man write, you remember I told you don't ever try to take what I teach and call yourself using it against me. You are a fool to try that. Boy, I know what you know. I know what I shared with you. And, matter of fact, I want you to print that out so I can read it. Did he answer? Is he coming in here to speak with me? He didn't reply? Well, you get that and print it out. But anyway, the Since you remember in the Holy Quran, Iblis was talking to God. The devil was talking to God, and look what he said. I mean, this is deep, man. But you never knew how deep it was because it was closed to you until I arrived. And I'm the one that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told you about when he said, the one that sent me, he said, you can't come near to him in the way of doing harm. He said, and he dared to tell me I'm lying. And you see, I'm standing here in Mississippi teaching what I'm teaching. Ain't nobody threatening me. Those who thought they might, well, they learned they better not. So, I'm not here without any backing. You got sense enough to, wherever your president go, your Secret Service, notice, Secret Service. Some of them you see, but some of them you don't even see. Do you understand? They call Secret Service. Well, his angels, they around me all of the time. Some of it you see, where you see the effect of it being there. They ask the people in Kansas about all of them earthquakes they've been getting. They ain't telling you about the stuff that's happening all over this country. There's earthquakes already going on in diverse places. That's right. Whether you say diverse places, meaning in the oceans, that's what makes tsunamis. They tell you earthquake up under there and made the big wave come after. And whether you mean diverse, mean different places. When had you ever heard of a earthquake over there in Virginia? They had to go there and repair the Washington Monument. Huh? So you better wake up before you sleep forever. So you can scheme and plan against me all you want, but it's against yourself. That's how Pharaoh lost his life and his kingdom. He thought he was going to destroy Moses. Yeah. So if you don't like Marvin, my suggestion to you is you better leave Marvin alone. So that name means friend of the sea. Yeah, that's right. So you come in here talking crazy, but I'm not talking crazy. I'm talking truth. And the truth is the word of God. That's what I mean when I say truth. Now, you go here and you look at this in chapter 15. In chapter 15 of the Holy Quran, this is where Iblis was told to submit to the black man. And in 28th verse, it says, and when thy Lord said to the angels, I am going to create a man, a mortal, of sounding clay, of black mud fashioned into shape. And that's what slavery in the 400 years was for. It was to fashion the mind of the black man into the shape of a slave. A slave is another word for servant. But you can't come to God unless you do so as a servant. You know, it's just like that's why you were told that you seek assistance from Allah. You have to do so through patience and prayer. And it says, seek assistance through patience and prayer, and this is hard, except for the humble ones. So Abraham's seed, of which I am one, he already had the right stuff to start with. He didn't question God's authority to tell him what to do. So God decided that he would take that seed and fashion a new man out of it. And I'm that new man. And you notice, that's one thing that even in the military, my experience of being in the military taught me that you don't question your commanding officer's authority. And if you need something from him, you get his permission to speak. And if he withhold that permission, then you had better be patient until he tell you it's okay for you to speak. You seek assistance through patience and your request, because you can't tell your CO to hurry up. You can't tell God how fast to move. And so I learned all of that was part of my training. I had to learn what Allah wanted me to learn in order to be able to serve him. And if your CO ordered you to go off and, you know, I mean, if they had ordered me to be an 0311, I'd have had to be an 0311. They call them grunts. That's an infantryman. But he didn't want to use me. Allah wasn't going to let them make no murderer out of me. And so they made me an infantry weapons repairman. And so that is what my military occupation was. Weapons repair. And but you come out of boot camp, everybody gets basic training. And that is, you learn to shoot a rifle, you learn combat, some hand-to-hand and that kind of stuff. And that's called basic training, because everyone is a basic Marine. No matter what your MOS is, everybody comes out of boot camp a Marine. Then you get your formal training. You get more in-depth training. If you're going to go into infantry, you get more training in that. If you're going into whatever other occupation, they send you on off to that school. But when you come out of boot camp, they've made a man out of you that understands that you follow orders. Do you understand? So, so I was faithful to that. And if I could be faithful in that which is least, then that prepared me to be faithful in that which is greater. Do you understand? So when I was in that world, I was true to that. I wasn't pretending I was a righteous man. I was out there doing what everybody else was doing. And I wasn't faking it. You know, when I got tired of that, I didn't fake it no more of that. I told them I was, I'm through with this. I can't do this no more. I wasn't going to re-up, and I was sorry. I had enlisted for 4 years. So I got out in 3. But I did it in a just way, not an unjust way. You go and tell people when I didn't sneak away. I told them I just can't do this no more. And you just was let me out because I'm not going to do nothing else you say. So I told them, and they let me out. Once the psychiatrist realized that, I meant what I said, they sent me to see if I was, running game or something, I guess. But I told them, I can't take this no more, man. I'm about to be a nervous wreck in here. And he let me out. He told them I couldn't adapt to that. And that's how I got out. Unable to adapt to military service. And general discharge under honorable conditions. It's always honorable when you tell a man where you stand and that this is what it is. And you notice I don't frown on Marines or soldiers or sailors or airmen. I don't frown on none of those men. I know what they went through. That's all I was in there for, to find out what it was about. And that was God's will for me. And I accept that. And it was his will when it was time for me to get out. I got out. And, but at least I got some experience that I can speak with some kind of knowledge of what I'm talking about if I start talking about that. I have all the respect in the world for those men, because if your CO ordered you, if my CO had ordered me when I was there, I mean, man, when I got to Vietnam, I was wanting to go because I was curious as to what was going on over there. And I didn't have no better sense. When I got over there and start seeing what I saw, if Captain Zorn, that was his name. Captain Zorn told me, hey, load up. You got to go out to this site and fix weapons. Well, I loaded up and went out there, and I did what I was supposed to do. But even when you were afraid, if you was ordered to go do something, you sucked it up and you went and did it. Moses was afraid, but God told him, you go and tell Pharaoh. Moses sucked it up because Moses had been in Pharaoh's military too, according to the history that they give you on him. So he knew something about following orders. You don't have to. There ain't no bravery if there wasn't no fear. It's only bravery when you was afraid and you went anyway, then you was brave. Do you understand? And so nobody want to die, man. You don't have to ask no wise man. Ask a fool. He want to live long as he can, if he's sane. And so I I did that when I was in the military. Went, if I was afraid, I still went. Likewise, I'm not going to tell you I wasn't apprehensive coming to Mississippi, all the stuff I heard about Mississippi. But Allah don't stop being God just because I crossed the Mississippi River or the Mississippi border. He's God over the whole planet, over the whole universe. And so here I am. So I want you to know that I may not have the love of the white people, But they respect me more than they do any of y'all who refuse to join with me and help me to do this. They ain't got no respect for you. They bought you. You sold yourself to them. And that's the truth. You know I'm telling you right. That's why you can't argue with me. And if you know I'm telling you right, why you don't join with me and help me to free us? And then you want a man who was willing to shed blood and lay down his life. Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or kill me. That's what he said. And you want that man to respect you as his equal? And you sell your mama out for chicken and a biscuit. Don't nobody respect that. Donald Trump gonna tell you, let you hear Donald Trump tell you something, man. Y'all get this.
Voters, to be honest. I think the voters like me. They understand. They know I'm going to do the job. And you know, when you put out policy like a 14-point plan, a lot of times in the first hour of negotiation, that 14-point plan goes astray, but you may end up with a better deal. That's the way it works. I mean, that's the way really life works. When I do a deal, I don't say, oh, here's 14 points. I go out and do it. I don't sit down and talk about 14 points. But I know the press wants it. I don't think the people care. I think they trust me. I think they know I'm going to make good deals for them. That's what it's all about. I'll get Congress. I've been getting politicians to pass whatever I wanted all my life. Nobody has more experience. You know, it's sort of interesting. Nobody has more experience dealing with politicians than I've been dealing with them all my life, whether it's big New York City zoning deals, which, by the way, are probably tougher than most of the things I'll be dealing with foreign countries. I mean, I built a city on the west side of Manhattan. You talk about getting zoned for Trump Tower, 68 stories on 57th and 5th. Let me tell you, I've been dealing with politicians all my life. They're fine. They're wonderful. They're all talk. They're no action. They're selling this country down the tubes, and they're easy.
He ain't doing nothing but telling the truth. They all talk, no actions, and selling the country down the tube. What I've been telling you. You got all these people that a man like Donald Trump can get him a couple of $1 million, and they will sacrifice the whole country. Nobody expects how you gonna respect the man whose manhood is for sale? You know how your children, you know why your politicians is like that? Because you taught them the wrong thing. You said money talks and everything else can take a walk. Patriotism and anything that's of value, that can take a walk. And a president who stood up and said something that echoes through the halls, not of just America, but that statement that this president made echoes through the halls of every place where there's a patriot that loves his country. When he said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Do you think that's what the Congress did because they hate President Obama because he's black? Do you think that's what they did when they trashed the America's AAA credit rating? They let that go down? They wasn't caring what they could do for the country. They was worried more about what they could do to make a black man look stupid or incompetent. To hell what it do to the country. That's why Joe Biden, I respect that man. I mean, and even when he disagreed and knew that they was out of order, he let them save face. But he did tell them, come sliding up next to him when he was talking about what was happening in Flint. He said, and my friends in Congress talking about this is just temporary, Joe. They slide up next to him and tell him, come on, man, we can't let this nigga do. And Joe Biden told him, man, what you mean temporary? You can't do this to the country. He's about the only one up there. And out of, well, I ain't gonna say he's the only one, but it's a lot of them up there that ain't for sale. And you better learn to check people out to see if they are willing to sell you out. Because if you vote people into that position and they are for sale, then you about to start getting unjust laws. You about to start getting a whole lot of things that you didn't vote for. So you and Donald Trump telling you that these politicians, they selling the country down the tube. Now I don't see him as presidential material because he's too thin-skinned. And he does not, he's a man that says everything. He says what he thinks. That's one drawback from being rich. That because people fall all over themselves for you, they make you, if you're not very, very careful, it makes you lose respect for people because you see how gullible they are and how, how childlike most people are. They don't take much. He gave them a ride on his helicopter and they falling all over themselves and, to get, I mean, that's what the educational system, that's what happens when you put more emphasis on what goes in your pocket and on what you're going to be able to steal than what goes into the minds or brains of your children and your future generations. You see, you can tell where the emphasis in America is by looking at the educational system. There is no great deal of money being put into education in this country, relatively speaking. Which means what? They're not interested in educating and preparing future generations for rulership. They're interested in keeping you at a certain level where you can be tools and slaves for those who think that they're going to rule the world and continue their evil in my time. You ain't finna continue this. Just like you told that, just like he's telling you, he got these politicians are in the pocket of rich people. And whatever they are told to do, that's what they do. So, and I don't know who this is calling me during the meeting time, but you should know better. Let me see who this is. Yes. Walaikum salam.
I'm going to need a little help to try to find you because we get up on the road and I'm at Woodbine Road. I'm down here at the intersection of Woodbine and 552.
No, no, you got to come on. Have you passed the Alcorn turnoff yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, make a left on Woodbine and I mean on 552, and you about two miles from us.
Well, we've been down in there.
Well, make a left on 552 and come on up.
On Woodbine?
No, on 552.
Okay, I'm on 552.
Okay, then make that left off of Woodbine and just come on up 552. And you're gonna head east on 552. And you can't miss us. We're right on 552. Did you hear me? Oh, okay. So just come on up 552. You just ain't came far enough. Just come on. And I'll leave the line open. And what kind of car are you in?
It's a gold tannish Kia.
Okay. All right. You'll see a white Sienna van sitting out there in front, and you'll see our school. You know, the flags are flying and everything. So you just come on. I'll leave the line open. We have a brother that's visiting us from Detroit. I'm glad I answered that. He and his wife, and so they looking for us. You say that's Woodbine back there, right at that brick church? Yeah. Well, he ain't but a mile and a half from us. So, okay. So come on, brother. You going right? Just come on. So, where was I at? What was I? Oh yeah, Mr. Trump don't have no respect for those politicians up there. You heard what he said about them. They just talking, ain't gonna do nothing. You know, but sell the country out. That he's right about. You know, but it takes more. It takes more to run in a country than knowing how to run a business. You understand? Just because you're a good businessman don't make you a good president. You know, because in the business world, you know what they say about dog eat dog. You know, yeah. It's just like when he said he pulled out of Atlantic City and filed a bankruptcy in time to save himself and whatnot. You know, but you can't take that same logic. You can't think in terms of bankruptcies and stuff and thinking that's a good thing when it comes to your nation or letting certain things just go down. You have to take into consideration that all of the people that's going to affect, I should say, and you have to do something to avoid. You have to think your way out of things rather than just do what you call a quick fix, because that quick fix, even though it might be good for business, it may not be good for the country. Do you understand? Okay. So, all right. So I'll let you hear him. I'll let you hear him say that again. Get in the van and go down there and meet the brother and his wife that's coming here.
Whether it's big New York City zoning deals, which, by the way, are probably tougher than most of the things
Brother Jamar.
with foreign countries. I mean, I built a city on the west side of Manhattan. You talk about getting zoning. Getting zoned for Trump Tower, 68 stories on 57th and 5th. Let me tell you, I've been dealing with politicians all my life. They're fine. They're wonderful. They're all talk, they're no action. They're selling this country down the tubes, and they're easy to deal with. Believe me. New York are more difficult about policy. Why do you think you don't care about policy?
See, now you first just heard me say that. Now you done heard Donald Trump tell you that. Huh? You think just cause a man get a haircut and you put a suit on him, you can make anybody look smart? If you talk to them for a little while, you'll soon learn that they just a dummy with a ventriloquist behind them. And long as they being told what to say, they sound smart. But the minute you talk to them one-on-one, you start discovering that, hey, man, how in the world did you get in Congress? Huh? I'll tell you how they got in Congress. It got in there when it started being lawful to. It was already dangerous, but once it got lawful to contribute as much as you want, well, Grover Norquist said we gonna reduce your government to the size of that it can fit in a bathtub. It done turn your Congress into a basketball team. Got one coach telling everybody what to do. Yeah, is that what you wanted? That's the kind of government you want? Okay, suit yourself. And you call me nigger? You call me stupid? How come you didn't see all of this? That this so-called nigger standing up here telling you and showing you. Yeah, but I'm the enemy, right? Yeah, okay. All right. Now, but you know, when you lose your objectivity, then you can't get justice. When you get lost in the middle of the situation that you're trying to get justice out of, then you no longer can see the whole situation because you in it. You need to stay outside of that in order to see what's really going on there. Do you understand? And that's what I think Ms. Allred has done with this case that they call themselves bringing against Dr. Cosby. She's lost her objectivity. She got too involved. And, I understand why, but it's still not a good thing. Because, I've seen many, I've seen many, I should say I've heard many cases of lawsuits. There's not a club owner that does not have liability insurance. As anything that's open to the public, whether it's a supermarket, you notice you slip down in a supermarket or whatever, they just turn it over to their insurance company, and but sometimes the lawyers, in order to make sure that things get moving, the lawyer sues everybody that's involved. The lawyer will sue the manager. He'll sue the store, the manager, and anybody else that's connected to that. And then it's up to them. Once the lawyers come together, it's up to the people that's being sued to who's going to take blame or whatever. But you can't. I just never understood how, and I'm not a lawyer, but I know that if something happened on your property, you're going to get sued. Now, that's just the way it is. If a lawsuit happens, most definitely the property owner is going to be sued. Now, ain't no lawyer going to come in here and tell me that ain't the way it go. Now, how in the world are you telling me or telling the world that something happened at the Playboy Mansion, but the only person getting sued is a patron of the place and not the owner of the place? How you doing that? And question, I know he's going to have to come in and testify if it be any kind of trial. If they're going to have a trial, Hugh Hefner going to have to explain what is a minor doing in your place. They said it happened at the Playboy Mansion, didn't it? Well, he got to come in there and explain what in the world minor's doing over there at the Playboy Mansion. Well, and that stuff talking about, you remember I seem to vaguely remember that the woman said that Dr. Cosby told her to tell the people that she was 18. Ain't that what she said? I seem to remember something to that effect. But man, telling somebody that you 18, if that came up, they didn't just, you can't just tell them that. They say, let me see some ID. Huh? Because they could get shut down. Now, who don't know that? That stuff ain't never happened. That's what. It never happened. Hugh Hefner ain't no fool. Just because a man ain't righteous, just because a man don't believe in doing certain things that people that have moral consciousness believe in, that don't mean the man is an idiot. You think he gonna have people just coming in and out of his place that if it's a chance that they minors, they ain't getting in there? I don't care who they with. So, you know, I just, Now, that market won't swing. So, but you know, in these crooked courts and bought out judges and stuff, and you know, this was all about trying to break Bill Cosby. Literally. Yeah. Just trying to get him into some court where they can take his money. Legally. You some wrongdoing people. And everybody who's looking at it that's got an ounce of sense knows that this stuff ain't nothing but them trying to break Bill Cosby. And to ruin that man's reputation and all that stuff with a lie. With lies, I should say. And it's wrong. And I don't care how many of you join in with it, all of you wrong. Tell me somebody done raped 30-something or 40-something women. The count's still going up. And ain't nobody went and did no kind of test or nothing and got no evidence. And how long has that forensic thing been out there? How long have they had rape kits? And how long have they been able to do drug tests on people? They find some drugs in your system after it's been gone 3 and 4 days. How long it take them to take marijuana to detect that you've been smoking grass? Come on, some of y'all out there get some computers going there and answer my question. I'm always answering yours. So, you know, it is a crying, pitiful shame that You know, so many people are owned, bought and paid for. And you think you got you some friends. And even when you think people is friends in these movie stars and all of this, and when the owners of them them networks and stuff turn on somebody, if you don't turn on them too, you wind up not getting no work. You wind up not getting you get your deals. All of a sudden they can't use you no more. You know how it go. It remind me of this little boy. You know, I mean, I like Dwayne. After we grew up, we kind of laughed about it. But when we was growing up, Dwayne, his mom and dad, they were pretty well off. And Dwayne had bats, balls, gloves. He had enough that everybody could, you know, he could bring the baseball, the bat, the gloves, and everything. And we could play ball. But Dwayne wasn't that good at it sometimes. And but he had to be on somebody's team, otherwise he's gonna take his balls and stuff and go home. So anyway, if Dwayne got mad, the game was over because he'd take all of his stuff and go home. That's the way these people are with these networks and stuff. You disagree with them, don't hold their point of view. They don't change their point of view. They don't care to listen to your side of it. They tell you this is what it's going to be. And if you don't agree with them, well, maybe you can get a job somewhere else, but you through here. That's what they tell you. They may not do it at that particular point because they don't want to get sued, but they find a way later to say, you know, things done got kind of tight around here, and we're going to have to cut back. So we're going to have to lay you off for a while, and we'll call you when you can come back. Next thing you know, you out looking for a job because you didn't knuckle under to what they wanted you to do. You notice the reporters now, they don't go out and get the news. They read the news to you from what somebody else went and got, from what their station decided they need to say. And that's wa alaikum salam.
I'm looking on the computer. It says frequent users 10 to 21 days, and infrequent users are 3 to 7 days. We're hearing that.
Now, say that again and say it slower.
Frequent users 10 to 21 days. Infrequent users 3 to 7 days.
Now, see, that's how long drugs stay in your system. Now, but you notice, ain't now one of them women, not one, went and got a drug test to see what kind of drug that they claim Dr. Cosby had given them. So, you know, what are you doing? Why would you jump on that bandwagon? I tell you why. Because they've dumbed America down so much that most of you believe everything that you hear on the TV, and that's your way of keeping informed. Rape kits have been around since the early 70s. And drug tests have been around for who knows how long. And you know, they said they was afraid of Cosby, right? Right? Ain't that what they said? Was they afraid to go and get checked without anybody's knowledge? Was they afraid to just go to the DA and say, this is what happened to me, and y'all need to do something about that man? Huh? Was they afraid to do that? I invite any of them to come in here, and I will be more than respectful to them. I'm not going to disrespect these women, because what if they telling the truth? But the ones I've talked to wasn't telling the truth. It's like when that lady, Christine Ruley, she said the man hadn't did nothing to her. He hadn't raped her. Then what's she doing out there? Well, I believe he did it to this other lady. And can you imagine getting on the stand talking about you believe something? And the other lady, I asked her what was her name. She couldn't mention her name. You know why? Because she's afraid that woman gonna sue her for bringing her in that mess. Because she didn't even tell the newspaper that interviewed her. She didn't tell them that it was another lady there. She said she got there and wasn't nobody else there but Dr. Cosby. But somebody probably had told her, well, look, somebody gonna eventually ask you, well, why didn't you turn around and leave? I mean, if you go to a place where you think you're going to a party, right? And then you get there and ain't nobody but you, and you know it's late enough for the party to be started. And you get there and the party ain't no other guests. And you look and you say, the first thing you're going to ask is, what, did you cancel the party? Ain't that the first thing you're going to ask? And said, well, I thought it would just be me and you. You got me wrong, Mr. Cosby. I ain't like that. Let me go. I didn't mean to give you that impression. It's always a way to back out, ain't it? But she stayed around in there. And what did you stay for? If that actually happened. But I mean, people. Look, it's like I told some of the people that I met with. When you're getting ready to make a serious, do a serious deal, don't ever talk serious business over lunch or while you eating. You know why even in that movie, The Godfather, the old man, now I don't know how true it is. It may be based on some facts though. But he told his family, look, don't never discuss business at the dinner table. The main reason you don't discuss serious business while you eating is because the blood that is feeding your whole body, that's nourishing your whole body, once you start your digestive system, that blood, a lot of it is being diverted to the digestive system, which deprives the brain of a lot of the oxygen that it would have had, and the thinking process is dulled. And so when people invite you to go talk business over lunch, it's because they know that, wise people know that if you're doing business, if you're talking business, that, the thought process slows down when you're eating and talking business. So just, yes.
What about the fact that he admitted that he drugged those women?
No, he did not admit that he drugged those women. He admitted, and that in that deposition, he admitted that he had given some that requested it some drugs. It's just like if there's, because you don't know nothing about the 60s and 70s, in the early 80s, you know, drugs were very prevalent, and they was everywhere. Did you see the movie The Temptations? I mean, you could get coke, you could get everything. It's just like if you saw Unsung, then you saw on there where the brother from the what was that group that made Can't I Want to Get Next to You? No, man. What's that group that made that car wash and all that? Rolls Royce. That brother on there, he became a drug head, but he said all his drugs was free. They give him drugs anytime he wanted. And didn't you hear Janice Dickinson say how plentiful cocaine and champagne was? Well, Bill Cosby had access to those things, and he didn't use. But if you was dating somebody back in the 60s, and you go to a bar, a lady gonna ask you, hey, you know, you gonna ask her, can I buy you a drink? And she know what that's about. You know, and if you wasn't gonna buy her no drink, you go home by yourself. And so sometimes the women used to just ask, hey, what you got? And we knew what that meant. Do you have some Quaaludes or what you got? You give her a Quaalude or whatever, give her some, tell her I got some smoke or whatever, and that was that. But they took that knowingly. That's what he admitted to. And the press tried to do him like in that movie, Disclosure. You know, everything the man say, they twist it and make it sound like he's saying something else. You know, just like when in the movie, well, why did you, matter of fact, not even in the movie, I can talk about this comedian that when Dr. Cosby had paid that other lady what she wanted in order for that not to come out. And it wasn't because he had drugged her. It was because he didn't want his wife to find out about what he had, you know, what had happened between them. And what man would? So that's all that was. But y'all just, you know, you so easily made to think whatever the crooks want you to think. You don't even question what they say to you. You know, you hadn't even questioned the fact that all these women was telling the same lie, that they were scared of Bill Cosby. Since when is a white woman scared to say a black man raped her? I don't care who he is. A good example. Look at this lady that went into the White House with President Clinton. And later on, she acted like she was the victim when she was the one that released the story. Was she scared? That man was the president. She wasn't scared. But no, you just want to think the worst of the black man because that's the way y'all is. You know, if you could get something on me, you wouldn't care if it was true or not. You wouldn't even care if it was true or not. You just run with it because you don't like me. I know what it's about. You know, y'all some unjust people. But I ain't like that. You know, I may not like John Boehner, but I ain't gonna help you lie on that man. Yes. Wa alaikum salam. What you say? What you say?
That the last weapon they're gonna use on the black man is the white woman.
Well, the messenger said that. That's what he said, you know, and offer you his woman, and then when you get out there and then she want to holler you raped her or whatever, You ought to stick with your own women. But that ain't the case with Dr. Cosby. These people mad at him for not going down that road. You know, if any of them had that man, oh, they'd have been able to put that over, because his semen would have been there. They'd have had some samples of that, and they could have said whatever they wanted. So I ain't going for that stuff, you know. And I'd do the same thing if it was a well-known Caucasian man that people was claiming had did this or did that to them. And they come up with some stuff like this, that they was afraid of him or what. The man didn't own no studio or nothing. He was just an actor. And he wasn't that popular. He's that powerful man. Yeah. Yeah, you a powerful liar. That's what I said to him. Now, and as rape kits go, it says at the hospital when, and this is from a nurse. He said, when we get someone claiming rape, we do a confidential rape kit, and we are required by law to call the police. They don't even have to call the police. The hospital called the police. Next thing you know, whoever they, you know, if they find something in her, that person gonna get a knock on the door. The DA gonna take it up from there. Unless the DA scared of him. I ain't heard no DA say they was scared of Bill Cosby. They said they didn't have any evidence to file no charges. That's what they said. So if there was no evidence for them to even bring charges, it's just like even in that O.J. Simpson thing. They had evidence that they thought was enough to at least arrest him and bring him to trial. And then when they got into when he was found not guilty, then they took it over to that civil court and filed that he was filed some more charges on him, that he was culpable, or he was somehow instrumental in the death of Nicole Simpson. But Bill Cosby ain't never no court or arrested for any of that stuff. So how can there be a preponderance of evidence when there was no evidence? It ain't never been no evidence. You know, if you ask me, did you buy this lady a drink? I bought women drinks before. And what was your intent? To sleep with her? That's what my intent was. Ain't no sense in me lying. That's what we did back then. That's what they're still doing right now. Any woman that's in a bar and a man asks her, "Can I buy you a drink?" She know exactly why he's asking her to buy her a drink. And if you say anything different, you just lying. And that man got all the money he need to get with the average woman, and you want to talk about he raped somebody. What was all them women doing around him? I wanted to help my career. How was you going to help your career? What was you planning on doing? That's why they don't want to come in here. They better go on Fox News, better go on CNN. Yeah. That's one thing I admire about Mr. Trump. You know, he'll tell you in a minute that don't fly. You fired. Yeah, you get out of here with that. Huh? The man is real. You know, he's not. He's definitely a businessman. Now, he may not be a president, but he sure is a businessman, and he got Congress pegged just right. All mouth ain't gonna do nothing but sell the country down the tube. Yeah, you need to get all of them out of there. Sitting up telling you that there's something wrong with a president who wants to see all of the American people get good health care. That sounds like he's not asking what he can do, what the country can do for him. He's trying to do something for the country. Who you think the country is? It's the people. If you don't believe in the Constitution, then why do you always bring it up? I think one of the things in the Constitution is that one of the things in the Constitution is that the purpose of it is to promote the general welfare. How do you tell me that you believe that every American citizen has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? How can you separate the right to life from the right to good health care? How do you separate that? For the right to life means that you believe that good health is not a privilege, it's a right in this country. And it's just good sense. Don't you know any country that cares about its people have a right to expect its people to care about it? And if your government does not care about your health, on what are they basing asking you to care about the government? I want the white people to answer that for me, since you wants to do away with Obamacare, as you call it. And you know, the sad part is, I seen on MSNBC is that they're a little bit better in their distillation of news. They was asking people, what do you think about the Affordable Care Act? Should we keep it, or should we do away with Obamacare and keep the Affordable Care Act? They said, yeah, I think we should do that. They didn't even realize that the Affordable Care Act is Obamacare. Just anything that they hear the name Obama on, they programmed to hate it, to reject it. Now, that's stupid. You know, well, of course, I can't say I ain't used to be like that. Because if you used to come and tell me something that a white man said, my ears used to chop up. And I used to say, look here, I don't want to hear nothing that devil had to say. Till the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, knowing that I was awake, in his last sermon, he told everybody that I was awake. He said to me, he said, come on in, brother. He said, have a seat, brother. And he said, sit him down over there. Crown him. Put him on good shoes. And he looked around at the people who were sitting up there because they looking silly, trying to figure out what he's talking about. And he looked at him, he said, "This is it." And after telling them about me, then as he went on down in his lecture, he started talking about white people. And he said, we want to thank the Chicago white people for allowing us to obtain the country club. He said they have did us a great favor. And I don't think we have nothing to do but to honor and thank them for putting us in such position where we can prove ourselves worthy of such position. And he said, and we thank them. They have did us a great favor. And then he went on to say, he said, this is their house. He said, and we are here teaching the truth. They are not objecting to you teaching the truth. He said, as we have white Muslims in America. He didn't say devil Muslims either. He said, we have white Muslims in America. And lots of them. Well, that took me for a loop, because I ain't think no white man could be nothing but devil. And you could tell that it threw everybody else for a loop too, because it got quiet. And you know they love to make noise while he's talking. But when he said that, he said there are white Muslims in America. He said, and they recognize and respect you. He said, you must recognize and respect them. And so that made me have to go back and not analyze his teachings. I had to go back and analyze what I thought I understood. And as I went back and thought over it, you know, I remembered that. It was always in the back of my mind, but I wasn't ready to accept it right then. I ignored it. And I ignored it all the way up to the 90s. And this one Caucasian that helped me to realize that I better check myself. Because I was fussing at him, and I told him, I said, he accused me of doctoring a tape that I was playing back of K.C. Price. As K.C. Price called himself going through Message to the Black Man, finding the errors in it. And he wouldn't talk directly to me, so I was playing his tape and showing that he was the one in error. And this white man, one of the neighbors here, he said, Brother Muhammad, you doctoring that tape. And I got mad as hell. I said, you devil, I ain't doctored nothing. I said, I played what I have here. And I ain't cut it, and I didn't doctor it. And he said, well, and he was pushing that. And I said, look, devil, I don't need to hear nothing from you nowhere. I ain't got nothing for you. That's what I want to do for you. Put you in hell. And about 20 or 30 minutes later, he called me back. And I think both of us had thought about it, because I was glad he called back. And then I started realizing that, you know, I can't tell people that. I can't on the one hand claim to be the Son of Man, and on the other hand tell somebody that try to come to me for some understanding that I don't want to give them nothing but hell. The scripture says the Son of Man came not to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And so he said to me, he said, Brother Muhammad, he said, I just want to apologize to you. And I was kind of shocked, and because I wasn't expecting him to want to say nothing else to me. Because I didn't, I wasn't really that happy with him and what he had accused me of. But when he apologized and told me he just couldn't rest until he said that. And so I wished him well. And I thought about what the messenger had said about you never can get angry with a person if they truly believe what they think about you is right. It's up to you to convince them that what they thinking about you was not correct. You can't do that if you won't talk to people who disagree with you. You can only convert a person if you talk to them. Convert means change. So the Holy Quran, it says to me, argue with them in the best manner. There's people didn't agree with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he started, and they would come up to him and tell him, those over in the East, they don't agree with you. And the messenger said, well, that's natural. He said, because they have never heard this. He said, and they don't know what I know. He said, some of those over in the East don't care to read anything in the Bible. And he said, but they don't have my job. He said, and if my people are to be resurrected, they must be resurrected from the Bible because it is their graveyard. You can't go talking to a man out of a book that he don't know nothing about. You have to talk to the man out of the book that he believes in. And so that's what the messenger showed me that had to be done. That's why I was told to eat up all of it. So no matter what book people come in the volume of your books, I come. And that's what I'm here doing. I can talk to the Arab about what's in the Holy Quran, and I can talk to the American about what's in the Holy Bible. And whatever book if the Jew want to come in here and talk to me and don't want to read the gospel, I'll talk to him out of what's in the Torah. And show all of them that you got it wrong. If you don't believe in all of the prophets, you don't know none of the prophets. You just think you do. But you got that one that say he know him, tell him to come in here. Bring them in here. I talk to people that disagree with me, and I let them talk. Didn't you see when Miss Allred was in here Friday? I didn't cut Miss Allred off. I let her speak. I'm not afraid of you. You know why? Because I'm comfortable with what I know. And what I know does not demand that I not listen to other people, lest what I know wind up being wrong. Because the only thing you can do by showing me that something that I thought I knew was wrong, all you doing is strengthening me. Because now I'm going to give that up. And I'm going to go along with what you got. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me that. He said, if yours is not mine and yours is right, then mine must be wrong. And I won't have to go home and think about it. I'll join with you today. I'm not a man who stand up and believe in something just for the sake of I believe in it. If you show me that I'm believing in something that don't make no sense, I'll give it up. Trouble with you is show you something you believe in that don't make no sense. You want to hold on to it anyway. Well, go on, hold on to your lie. You know, yeah, I didn't hide away and teach nothing. I got out here in the public, offered you $20,000 and my life. If you could show that I'm teaching anything that's false. I ain't heard none of you come in here and prove I was teaching a lie. So I don't subscribe to bigotry. If what you have of truth does not allow you to have an intelligent discussion with someone who may differ with you, then you don't have the truth. Because I've learned. I mean, if you know 2 times 2 is 4, if you really know that, what you care about somebody coming in trying to argue with you that 2 times 2 is not 4? You can let them say everything they have to say. And then you can tell them after listening, you can address what they said and say, now this is where we differ and this is why I differ with you. And then you can go and point out to them as to why they are wrong. Not just tell them you're wrong, but you can show them why they are wrong. It's just like I don't tell people that Jesus ain't the God. I simply tell them, no, he's not the God that you thought he was. Because if I say he's not the God, then I'm calling the scriptures a lie. Because the scripture says that the word was God and the God with Jesus. Well, the scripture says he called them gods, unto whom the word of God came. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we are all gods. But he wasn't talking about you. He was talking about we, as when scientists say we going to the moon. He's talking about those who are in his circle. If I'm sitting up in there and I ain't no scientist, and he said, you know, we're gonna go to the moon. We're gonna send a rover to Mars and whatnot, and I come by out of there tomorrow. Hey, you know, we getting ready to do such and so and such and so. And somebody asked me, how you gonna do that? Then I get to reality. Well, I don't know, so I guess I ain't in that week. Do you understand? So the messenger, he was not the one that misunderstood. You see? You have to know when we includes you and when it does not. You know? And see, I know that I'm part of that because I understand them. I can expound on what they meant by what they said. And can't nobody contradict me. Not in when. So I'm part of that we. You see? And so the word is with me. The understanding of it is with me. And so that's why I'm called Son of Man. That's another reason. Because when you look at the prophets, they were like the stars. They were lights, enlightened men that brought light into a dark world. But they didn't get rid of the darkness. You're like the stars. Look at all them stars that be shining at night, and yet it's still dark out there. Now, you can guide yourself by them, but you can't work by starlight. But when the sun is up, all of the stars disappear and the darkness with it. So then the sun is the greatest from our perspective. Do you understand? As Jesus, if he saw himself as the Son of Man, he wouldn't have told his disciples that you shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, but you shall not see it. Well, if he considered himself Son of Man, he would have said, you shall desire to see another one of my days, but you shall not see it. But he didn't say that. You see, you don't think, you somebody tell you what to think. Ain't nobody never taught you how to think. They just told you what to think. And that's what they do now. They'll report news to you, and then they will get on there and give commentaries about what you should think about what you just saw. And then you come out parakeeting them. And then get mad at me when I show you all the holes in what they're saying, just like with this stuff with Dr. Cosby. Now you mad at me because I didn't jump on the bandwagon with you. When I was from elementary school, we used to call that rat packing. You know, when a whole group of people jumped on one man, they call that rat pack. And we call that cowardly. That's what we called it. Why it got to take all y'all to jump on that one man? Won't you fight him fair? First, they didn't have number white women coming out. Then, when they couldn't put it over with that, then because people were saying, oh, that's just them white women. Then they started telling some of them black models, they told them to come out and do that. And all of them telling the same lie. I was scared because he is a powerful man. Yet Monica Lewinsky wasn't scared, and he was the president of the United States. I think the president of the United States got a little more power than a man like Bill Cosby. Yet they didn't mind dragging his reputation through the mud. And then she tried to play the victim. I mean, you could play the victim if you wasn't the one that released the story. But if you put the story out there, how are you the victim? A victim of what? Now, people ridiculing me. You the one put that out there. But, you know, we stupid. You know, we don't know nothing. And we're like cattle. That's what the Jews call them. What do you call them? They have a name for people like us, you know. Goyams. I think that's what they call us. You know, they look at the ignorant masses as cattle to be driven wherever you want them to go. You notice they own, if not all of Hollywood, they own Metro Goldwyn Mayer. Yeah, you know, they owns everything. And you let them come in here and tell me I'm lying. But your day to rule is gone, man. It's my time. If it wasn't my time, y'all would be able to produce somebody who could shut my mouth. I shut people's mouths. All I have to do is argue with you a little bit. And pretty soon, I'm the only one talking. Now, you come in here and show me what wisdom you have that can shut me down. You know, you can't kill an idea with a bullet. Nor can you bomb it out of existence. And they have a saying in poetry, there's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. How do you know when an idea's time has come? It gets inside of a man that can produce arguments that nobody can argue against. Then that's an idea whose time has come. Just like President Obama raised the bar on how a black man should be looked at and how a black man should conduct himself. Well, I'm raising the bar on how people who claim to be teaching us something should conduct themselves. If you want to stand up and tell me something and don't want to open up no way for me to ask you questions or even to present arguments about what you're saying, you need to go somewhere and sit down. You know, 'cause you're not going to program me. You're not going to reduce me to a computer. A computer just takes whatever you put in it. A human being made the computer. The computer did not make the end. So which is the greatest? So you don't treat the greater one like you treat the lesser one. Now, I'll reason with you. I don't mind you reasoning with me. But don't come in here thinking you're going to lecture me or program me. I'm not going to hear no lecture from none of y'all. Now, if I let you stop me on a point that I make that you don't agree with, I'm going to stop you on a point you make that I don't agree with. And if you ain't ready for that, don't come in here and unmute your phone. And then holler, I'm cutting you off. I don't say you cut me off when I say something that you have a question about. I stop. I say, did I hear somebody say something? I stop and I let you ask me a question on what I said. And I don't duck the answer. Nor do I try to make you wrong for stopping me. The only time I get on you is when you stop me to ask me a question that didn't have nothing to do with what I was talking about. Because then it shows that you wasn't paying attention. And it also shows that you wasn't interested in what I was sharing with you. And if that's the case, why don't you just leave? Because you're not going to dictate to me what I need to teach on. I'm not your messenger. I'm the messenger of the covenant of Allah. That's what I'm called. Not just Son of Man, not just the Lord. I'm called the messenger of the covenant. The one that Abraham said, raise up in them a messenger after praying for the nation of Islam to be raised up. And then he said, and raise up in them a messenger who shall recite to them thy messages and teach them the book and the wisdom and purify them. Well, that's me. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the second self of Almighty God who raised up the nation. And then he said, this teaching will rise a powerful son of truth and the spirit of truth from this part of our planet among us. He's talking about the nation of Islam. That's the us he's talking about. He said, among us, whom God have raised up. And you will no more look to the east or to the west for knowledge. Wherever you go, you will find it. He said, you won't go up to the temple no more. Wherever you are, you'll be the temple. He was talking to me. As the book says, the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. That's right. Do you see any man stand up calling, saying whatever he want about whoever he want and nobody say nothing other than me? Now you get mad all you want, but I'm not that baby that I was back in 75. I'm a grown man now. And I'm up to what I say. So, you know, I mean, I'm doing what I say. I'm not just talking. Everything I'm telling you we should be doing, me and the few that's helping me, we doing that. Now, if that ain't proof that at least I believe in what I'm teaching. Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was doing what he was telling us to do even before we started helping him. And I learned what to do and what not to do. And that is, he was my example. As Allah said, behold, I will send my messenger before thy face, and he shall prepare thy way before thee. So the messenger, he prepared the way. He prepared my religion for me. And he showed me what would work and what wouldn't, and why. He not only taught me that there are no big I's and little U's in Islam, he showed me why. And when I saw all of them captains and lieutenants and squad leaders and things, and I saw how they conducted themselves, because the very nature of rank is a big I and a little u. And so he didn't just tell me stuff, he showed me why not to do it. Whenever someone that is as crooked as white people have been, what is their way of overthrowing people's governments and bringing down? How did they get the Panthers from being strictly a non-violent, the Black Panther Party? See, all y'all don't know, that started in Watts, right where I grew up. And they used to be over at Mafundi Institute giving little babies breakfast. And when and they wasn't carrying no guns, they were just dressed in black. And next thing you know, they walking around with ammunition belts on and sporting shotguns and stuff. Now, how did that happen? The white man, he knows how to infiltrate you. He sent his infiltrator in there looking like us. That's why when Miss Allred told me, he said, well, it's black women accusing Dr. Cosby. I said, that ain't no news to me. I done seen black women, black men come into the nation and pretend to believe and was there trying to tear it up from the inside. I done seen all that stuff. You won't put that over on me. Matter of fact, the very thing you trying to do to me, I'm warning you, is what's being done to you. You think everybody in the Congress love America? Look what they did. Look what they fight against. How in the world you tell me you love America and you fighting against health care for all Americans? How do you reconcile that one? And you know the sad part, the very ones who told you that there's something wrong with the Affordable Health Care Act, they got free health care in their plan. Who paying for that? You are. They don't mind getting it for themselves and their family. Why they don't want your money going for health care for you and your family? Because if it go for you and your family, it's less that they can steal. Let me explain something to you about the aid that's sent to Israel. I know you think I'm finna talk about the Jews. I'm not finna talk about the Jews. I'm finna tell you why all of them sit up in there and talking about they want to send aid to Israel, because there's so many enemies around Israel over there and got to protect Israel. You know where Israel get the bulk of their weapons from? They get that Iron Dome defense. That's American made. And every missile that you send over there for the Iron Dome, it gets paid for with tax dollars going into the coffers of the ones who manufacture it. So the aid to Israel is actually money going into the coffers of the big business people who control them weapons factories. Now, in order for that aid to continue, they need war to continue. So while Mr. Now I'm going to talk about Netanyahu. when he's over here mad because President Obama trying to make peace with Iran. Well, the Congress told him to come over here because their handlers told them to get him over here and talk up no peace. Because the minute you have peace, then ain't nobody gonna need no weapons. Then our money gonna run out. So did I get it right? I need to talk to Donald, Mr. Trump. I don't think he's into the weapons thing. So, I mean, that's part of what he meant when he said these politicians is selling America down the tube. You know, but you notice all of them scared of him. You know why? He got something on all of them probably. And tell them, you better not open your mouth. He ain't right. Oh, I'll tell who pocket you in. Do you understand? He done told you your government is under the control of a few greedy men. Norquist told you that. You wasn't listening. Then you got nerve enough to be mad at me? Got people like Rush Limbaugh on there promoting racism against the black man as though we the one that's threatening you. We ain't the ones stealing your money. We ain't the ones pretending to be your representatives. And you remember when the president told them to call up and tell Congress to don't crash the, to go on and pass the debt ceiling and don't trash the credit of America. You notice Boehner and all of them didn't listen to the people. And the man said that the phone lines got jammed with people calling up, telling them to go on and do the right thing. That didn't make them no different. Because they don't work for you. They work for that man who made them rich. I bet you check the bank accounts of every one of them new people in Congress, them so-called Tea Party people, and the youngsters that's in there that you don't know where they came from, nor who put them up there. You check their bank accounts, they're millionaires now. Signing the pledge not to raise taxes. That's part of the duties of Congress, is to levy taxes. And they know so little about levying taxes. I said it before the Chief Justice came back and told them, how you going to say that it's unconstitutional for the Affordable Care Act? That's nothing but a tax. The Congress has the right to levy taxes. How in the world are you going to say that that's unconstitutional? And he couldn't go along with it. Justice Roberts, which I believe cares more about the country. There's a few of them up there do care something about the country. And they probably done read George Washington's farewell address where he warned them about parties and the dangers of parties. Because when you get loyal to a party rather than loyal to your country, then you done messed up. You about to lose your country. What happens? What is division? It's a quick way to subtract. That's all. It's a shortcut of subtraction. And when you divide a house against itself, you remember Norquist called those in the Democratic Party parasites, and the people clapped. So they ain't your brothers no more. You looking at a person because he calls himself a Republican or a Democrat, and you notice, and you call him a parasite. So you don't see him as your brother no more. Now, look what's done happened there. What's happening to the country while you notice every time there's an election and the opposing party wins, they don't start governing, they start running the next campaign. They still carrying on the fight. It ain't okay. Y'all won. Now what we gonna do for the country? Ain't none of that no more. You say you act like you care something about America. I act like. I told you I'm not a child anymore. I'm a grown man. I don't care what you think about me for caring about the country I was born in. It's like if my mama was a prostitute, you think that would make me love her any less? That's my mama, whether I like it or not. I know one thing, I done learned a lot of good from this country. Tolerance of other people's beliefs is one of those things that's good. No, I don't like white people for what they done to me, but it ain't because they white. It's because they did me wrong. And if I'm not going to accept an apology, if they offer one, if he tries to change, then why stand up and fuss at him about it? Why are you fussing with anybody if you done decided that you ain't going to never accept no repentance from them? You need to just stop fussing with them and just go on, do what you're going to do to them. Huh? But if you fussing, then what are you expecting? You want them to do better. And if or when they do better, the Holy Quran says, when they cease fighting with you, then you cease fighting with them. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said, you don't need to blame them now because they said now you're free. And we see today he's not hindering us. It is we who are hindering ourselves. It ain't his fault if you keep electing people that ain't got sense enough to do nothing. That's your fault. If you the mayor, if you the city council, if you the supervisors, depending on what part of the country you in, and your community is stagnated, then why you want to blame it on white people when you the one in charge? Because you don't have sense enough to care about your people. And if you don't know what to do, you should have had sense enough to go and find someone that you could use as an advisor. Presidents have advisors. Now you want to blame everything on the white man. You can't blame it on him now. No, I blame you. That's right. And those of them who trying to do something that would help us, you know, I ain't forgot when Haley Barber came here. I was standing there on Main Street in Fayette. And him and this brother that used to be a highway patrolman, what's his name? But anyway, he came there and asked for my support. He's a Republican. And I don't forget who he was running against, but the other person didn't come seeking nothing from me. Mr. Barber walked up to me and knew my name and everything. He found out about, and he said, I would like your support for governor. And so I told him, well, you're the only one that came and asked me for any support, Mr. Barber. And I said, I'll give you my support, but I ask one thing, is that you do justice by my people. That's all. And he looked me in the eyes and said, okay, I will. I'll do what I can. And some of them who was supporting him fell out with him. But before he got out of there, he pardoned quite a few people. And a lot of them was black that was in the prison system, and white folks fell out with him. But I say this, that he kept his word. He helped some of my people. And as I told him, you better leave Mr. Barber alone. You know what's good for you. You know, he didn't care what they did. I mean, he's a man. Man, you know, I mean, he cared, but he didn't. And I can respect that. It's like me, I care. I care what my people think about me. But I don't care if you think evil of me for trying to do right. You can think what you want to. You know, I'm going to do what I know is right. And it's only right that you show people the same respect that you're trying to demand from them. That's only right. You see? Now, yeah, I talk about white folks, but I'm careful that I don't say nothing that ain't true. I'm not going to sit up here and call him cracker and all that old stuff. That ain't about nothing. Evil is a nickname after you claim to have faith in God. You just call people by their name. And if you don't want to do that, don't mention them. But don't ever do to people what you frowned upon that was done to you. You didn't like being called nigger, right? Okay. Well, then don't you go nicknaming people. You know, because it defeats your quest for justice. Because when you go about trying to get justice and then you start doing unjust things that you condemned other people for, well, then you just justified what they did. Right. You know, these people, just like when Mr. Neubauer tried to accuse me of not letting him get his thoughts out when he was in my broadcast, which wasn't true. He told me if I come up there where he is, it would be different. I said, well, okay, then I will come to you and you tell me when I can talk. And he saw it didn't make no difference. It's just that oftentimes, you know, people think that you can put a time limit on what people have to say and give them equal time, and then you have did justice. That's not justice. If a man tie up a knot, tie a string in a knot, and it only take him 5 minutes to tie it in a knot, do you honestly think you're going to be able to get that unraveled in 5 minutes? It takes far longer to straighten out a car after you wreck it than it did to wreck it. As my teacher said, it takes longer to untangle the entanglement than it did to tangle it up. You see, we've been lied to. You know, it's not enough for me to just stand up and tell you Christianity is a lie. That's not going to get it. People think I'm insulting them. So after I say, look, Christianity is a lie, and this is why, then you enumerate. I'm enumerating why it's a lie. You can't even find the word in the Bible. The book says the first time anybody was ever called a Christian was in a place called Antioch. And if that's true, then Jesus was not no Christian. And if you was to meet the Jesus that you're talking about and say, I'm a Christian, Jesus would ask you, what in the world is that? Jesus never said he was Christ, but he did say he was the Christ. Because Jesus knew that Christ is just like if you talk to John Boehner. John Boehner wouldn't dare stand up and tell you he's Congress. He's not Congress, but he is the congressman. But Congress is the whole body. See, the Christ is just another word for the anointed. Isaiah was the anointed. He said that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he hath anointed me. David was the anointed. He said, thou anointest my head with oil. All of the messengers of God were the anointed of God. And when you simply say Christ, you are talking about the whole body of them. For as the body is one and has many members, and all they being many are one body, so also is Christ. And so that is the truth. That's not something that I made up. That's what the scriptures teach you. You just didn't understand what you was reading. But because this is the day of judgment, there can be no judgment if the truth is not made known. Judgment only takes place after truth is told. So I'm telling you the truth. So you ain't gonna have that as an excuse. It's just like this white man here. He wrote in here after he heard me say about you can't blame white people. It says at the 21-minute mark of the video, he says it says it all. I'm pretty sure the country that fought its bloodiest war to free a people enslaved by African tribes is not to blamed for the perpetuation of racism. Now, he twisted something that he heard me say. In the first place, the black man didn't never have no slavery like we suffered here in America. That ain't never happened. There has always been slavery, but slavery was a different thing. When they had debtors' prisons, or you could work off your debt serving a person. And if you was in their house, they couldn't mistreat you. They had to feed you with the food they ate, and they had to clothe you as long as you were there. They had to look out for your well-being. You were more like a member of their family, but you had to work for them to work off your debt. That's the kind of slavery we had. But this stuff that happened in America, that was affliction. That's what the book says. They said, thy seed, Abraham, shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And in all of your affliction, I was afflicted. That's what the book says. Can't nobody judge you. How in the world you gonna judge somebody that you're not their peer? This white man tell you that you can't. You don't get no doctor going to court and you call yourself suing him and you get him in front of a bunch of lay people. No. You got to bring doctors in there to make testimony as to whether or not he did the right thing or he didn't. A lay person don't know. And if you want to make a judgment about me, you better keep your mouth off of me. You better go get Jesus, Moses, David, Solomon, Muhammad, or Elijah, and some of their words, and you better come at me with that. But with your stuff, I don't care nothing about what you say. I'm claiming to be of them. Then you get them and you condemn me. And if they condemn me, then I stand condemned. But if you can't quote nothing from them to argue with me, you better shut up. Because they did tell you that the Son of Man was coming, whether you believe I'm him or not. And they also told you that the Son of Man had to be raised from the dead. Well, then you know that wasn't talking about Master Farad Muhammad, because he wasn't never dead. And it wasn't talking about Elijah, because Elijah was the one to come before the Lord. So who is the Son of Man? I know one thing. You put a room of people, you can put a crowd of people together in a stadium, in the biggest stadium you got. And you get up there on the microphone and say, "Will the Son of Man please report up here?" I'd be the only one that get up out of his seat and go up there. And I don't care who else you got sitting out there in the audience. I'm just as comfortable with that. I'm more comfortable with that than I was with the name my mom and them gave me. Because I know who I am now. They told me. And I was dead. As the messenger said, he was dead. Now he's alive. He was lost. Now he's found. Come on in, brother. Have a seat, brother. That's what he said to me. Oh, it ain't my fault because you ain't got sense enough to recognize it. As I'm speaking to people, peace comes into your mind just from listening to me, and you ain't got sense enough to realize who I am. So it ain't my fault. That's your fault. You mad because I'm black. Jim Jones took you over there looking white and made you drink poison Kool-Aid, and you still following white people. White officers, white man watching, Congress watching. Ain't nobody saying nothing. They got all these officers shooting black men down and hanging black women in their cells and stuff. And they ain't doing nothing about it, but you still in love with them. I gave them the solution, gave it to them in front of you. Didn't nobody say that won't work or whatnot? Because they know if it was them and it was black officers going through their community, shooting their children down, the first thing they say is, I want all these black officers out of our communities, all over the country. Get them out of our communities. Then we ain't got to have no pickets for racial profiling and all that, because you get them out of our communities. Well, the communities is mixed. Okay, put a black one and a white one in the car together. If it's a white person being stopped, let the white officer get out and deal with him. And the black one back him up. If it's a black officer, if it's a black person, let the black officer get out and deal with him. And the white one back him up. You won't make no foolishness out of nothing I say. Yeah. That's why, see, I shut them up. Anybody posting anything on the internet? Yes, ask the question. Don't never let people ask me a question while I'm doing it and you don't stop me and get the question. No, I'm not. I support anybody who's after justice for our people, but marching and demonstrating is not the way to do it. No, I don't. You can't march for justice. You have to work for justice. You see, you're never going to get justice. I tell you what, if you can show me any place in history where a bully, because the people that he was bullying came up to him begging him to stop, that he stopped. going to unjust people, asking them to do justice by you is an effort in futility. It's a waste of time. What you need to do is unite with your own people and begin to build your own schools, begin to create your own economy by setting up your own businesses and then patronizing your people. And if you living in a country where politics affects you, then you need to send people into positions. First, get someplace where you become the majority, like the Spanish Americans have done in East LA and in LA, period. They have a Spanish mayor there now, and they have people they have policemen in the force that look like them, and all of that. You can do that if you will. But sitting up talking about going somewhere, marching, and just to do what? I mean, I'm not going to go somewhere and participate in something just to collect a bunch of money from you. I'm not after your money. I want you. And I don't want you just so I can look big. I want you so we can get together and get these people's foot off our neck. You see, it's a lot of things that we are doing that I wouldn't get up here and tell all over the air. You don't have to go telling everybody everything you doing and everything you planning. I learned that from America. Take the brother away. It's no such thing as you gonna accomplish something if you gonna tell your enemies everything, and people who hate you, if you gonna tell them everything you got planned. I mean, that's why the news media, you can tell that some of these people that own the news media, they are the enemies of America. Because why would you get out there and ask the president or ask those who are prosecuting the war, well, what's your plans? Why would you even ask that question? You're supposed to have better sense than that. You looking at black people, and you looking at everybody except them people who look like you, who tearing your country up. Okay. You don't say I didn't try to warn you. I've been to this rodeo before. I saw this stuff that's happening to America. I saw that close up and personal in the Nation of Islam. People coming in that could care less about what the messenger was teaching. Fighting against him. In his own house, they was fighting him. Wishing he was dead. Now it's happening in America. We're out of time. All right, I'll meet y'all back in the conference room in a half hour, and we will teach you further. You'll see, I don't run out of nothing to teach. You know how people sitting up trying to figure out writing speeches and stuff. I don't write no speech. My stuff already written. It's called Holy Bible and Holy Quran. And I ain't stuck in that. Life is my subject. So no, we don't need to march. We need to get somewhere and build. That's what we need to do. You should be asking them, are they going to help me? That's what you should be doing. Go online and go to our website, and you'll see, I need help. If you could push aside your ego and come on and let's go on and do something. Okay. I'll meet y'all back in the conference room in a half hour. Until then, may Allah bless us all and keep us safe and in our right minds. May Allah's Salam Alaikum.